So welcome back again, students. Today, let us discuss old question papers of group theory. This was a question paper of last exam, in fact, OB exam, in which the students were given 6 questions and they were asked to attempt any 4 questions from them. So this is a question paper, and you will be given 3 hours time and 75 marks, maximum marks. Okay, this is the unique paper code. Instructions, there is not so much instructions here, but only one single line that you have to attempt 4 questions, and all questions carry equal marks. So you can see there are 6 questions, and the questions are big in the sense that they have so many parts. Of course, they have not given any numbers like uh, they have not divided the question in so many parts. But the thing is that there are so many parts. So they are not writing like the A1, A1B, 1C, 1D, something like this. Okay. So you can read the question and then you will come to know what are there and what you are supposed to reply. Okay. So first question is that A be a non-empty set and G be a group, and then they are defining map from A to G, and they are defining then operation on the collection F of functions from A to G. Uh, okay, and then defining operation, and then they are telling that you have to prove that this F with the star, the operation defined above, is a group. So this is a very basic kind of question, but little tricky. We need to see the in view of the definition that first thing is that this operation should be well defined and that this should be closed and associative also. It should there should be inverse in F, capital F, and then identity also. Second part which we see that they have given some matrix, a 2 by 2 matrix from general linear group of order 2 of 2 by 2 matrices from elements from Z5. And of course they are in GL. If they belongs to GL, then of course they are not non-singular matrix. And matrix multiplication and under matrix multiplication, of course, when there is a elements appearing from this Z5, so we need to use operation of Z5, and then we need to verify by direct calculation. So this kind of question we have done while discussing the, I think in chapter number 2, that in chapter number 2. So when these elements belongs to certain group, then how we can calculate. And then there is another part that describe the group of symmetries in of a non-square rectangular rectangle, and draw its Cayley's table. So do you have any doubt in understanding what they need actually? Let us forget for some time that how we are going to solve. But one thing is sure that you must feel that by reading this question that you are familiar with these concepts. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think you are familiar with all concepts, whatever been asked in question number 1. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let us understand first one by one question, and then after that we can try to find out some hint, or I can give some hint or solve the questions. Okay, and then in question number 2, uh, they have given an element in a group with order 3. So let A be an element in a group such that order of A is 3. Then we need to prove that CA equals to CA square. In standard notation, what we mean by this CA, you know already this, okay?
Sir, centralizer.
Yeah, centralizer of A and a centralizer of A square. So they are talking about this. So they are telling that elements of centralizer of A and A is its square. Both are same, provided that the element has order 3. All right. And then they are asking, give an example to show that the conclusion fails if A equals to order of A is 4. So in the second part, we need to give some counter example. And in the first part, we need to prove that if order of A is 3, then its centralizer and the centralizer of its square is going to be the same. And second part of this question is that find the order of each elements in U14 here in U14. So you know that this U14 group, they use operation.
Yes, sir. Relatively prime to
14.
14 numbers.
Yeah. So it is easy. I think by simple calculation you can compute. And please avoid writing that order of this one is 1. Okay, all right. Order of 1 is going to be 1 only because that is the identity. But for other elements, you can write something. You can show some calculation how you are finding the order. All right. Instead of writing that that order of 5 is this one, 7 is this one, 11 is this one, something like this. Okay. So they are telling that please try to understand this. Find the order. They are not telling that write the order. If they are telling write the order, then all right. You need not to do much calculation. But if you are telling that you need to find the order, it means you have to show some calculation how you are finding. All right. Of course, after finding for 2-3 elements, you can use or you can write similarly. You can write, but the thing is that straight away writing the order is not a good idea. So in that case, if you and some other student both are doing the both are attempting this question, and someone's directly writing that hey, order of this 5 is this one and 6 is this 11 is this one in this U14, and someone is computing that this is how he is going to find the order of elements of these, then there is a much difference, and then you will be telling that hey, I have also written that on order of this is this and this, but you have written. Please remember, you have written, you have not solved. Okay, so this to of course knowledge is a good thing. Having knowledge is another thing, but how you are writing here is another thing. Sometimes I have seen earlier I was teaching maybe 2 years back in first year. So I got a calculus from GE calculus of mathematics. So there were so many students from other sections also, like economics, computer science, statistics, and even of course mathematics students were not there. But what did they do if you have been asked that you solve this one? They used to write directly answer. This is going to be this. This is going to be this. This is going to be this. I don't know what kind of thing they were doing in earlier classes like 11th and 12th. But thing is that you need to write to understand first question, and then you have to reply accordingly. All right. So for example, if I ask your name, what is your name? Then you need to tell your name, not your introduction. All right. Suppose I'm asking your name, what is your name? And I tell if you give me right answer, then you will be getting 10 marks. And then on another day, I'm telling that I'm asking the same question. Hey, what is your name? And if you answer correctly, then I will be giving you 100 marks. It does not mean that because the question is now has increased weight as 100 marks. So you have to tell your name, your father name, mother name, and grandparents name. Question is simple. You have right answer accordingly. Thing is that. Are you getting my point? What I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, I'm asking what is your name? Then your sir, my name is this XYZ. All right. Whether it is of 100 marks or it is of 10 marks or 1 marks or half marks. Okay. So thing is that okay. Let us see. And then in this next part, so that it is cyclic and find its generator. So now you should know that when we say that it is a group is cyclic, so you should remember that when a group is cyclic, clearly, a group is cyclic if it contains at least one element of the order equals to group, order of group, all right, or if it has an element which order is equal to the order of group, fine. So you need to, when you are computing order of each element of U14, and if you are able to get an element, for example, U14 has order 6. So if you are able to get some element here of order 6, then you can write because there is an element which order is equals to this. So this is cyclic. And then they are telling that find all its generator. So the elements which are having order 6 in this particular case will be generator of U14. And one more thing you should note down that if A is generated, then its inverse is also going to be a generator. Fine. So the generator, in fact, they comes in pairs. All right. They comes in the generators. They come in pairs. Except if a group is of order 2, then there is identity, another element is there. So that particular element has to be self-inverse. So inverse of suppose E and A is there, two elements are there in a group, and then generator of this, of course, identity is not going to be generator of that group. So A, because order of A is 2, and A square has to be 1 identity. So A is going to be generator, and A is self-inverse, so there will be only one generator, A, except in case of that. Okay, otherwise, because if A is generating, then its inverse is also a generator. I think we have proved this kind of thing. Huh? Okay, so let us see question number 3. Define the center of ZZ, where G is a group, and prove that center of S4 is identity. Okay, so they're telling that you have to prove that there cannot be any other element except identity element which can commute with all other elements of S4. Thing is that okay. Then the next part is that for n greater than 2, we need to show that every even permutation in Sn is a product of 3 cycle. So one thing we have, we know that every permutation is a product of, can be written as product of dot dot dot. What can you say? Do you remember? Hello.
Sir, 2 cycles.
Yeah, permutation can be written as product of 2 cycles. All right. So it means, and they are telling that even they are talking about even permutation. All right. They are talking about even permutation. So every even permutation is also a product of transposition. 2 cycle you are telling now. 2 cycles.
Yes, sir.
Transposition. Yeah. So every even permutation is a product of even number of transposition. That's all. So what we need to prove that product of pairs of 2 transposition is going to be a product of 3 cycle. All right. So that we will see. And then next part is that is sigma is equals to this one. Then we need to express this. So do you have any idea how to proceed To reply this question, they have given sigma, and they have written it as a product of 3 cycle, and a 2 cycle. Of course, there are some elements in first cycle we have 5, second in also we have 5. In first we have 1, in third we have also 1. So of course this is not a disjoint product of disjoint product of cycles. So we can write them sigma as a product of disjoint cycle first, or disjoint cycle first, and then we according or as per length of that cycle, we can decide the order of sigma. Are you getting? So if
Yes, sir.
and then we can decide the order of sigma, and then once we know order of sigma, it means if suppose order of sigma is for example 5 or 6 or 3, or suppose for 6, then sigma to the power 6 is going to be identity. All right, and then we need to find sigma to the power 17. So sigma is to the power 17 is equals to sigma to the power 3 times 6, that is sigma to the power 18 times sigma to the power minus 1. So using index rule, what is there? Sigma to the power 18 minus 1, 17. Okay, so sigma to the power 18 is going to be 1, and times sigma 1, I means identity, and then sigma to the power minus 1 is going to be the answer of this. So that we will see. So today, let us see if we can cover up to third question, and there are 4, question number 4, question number 5, question number 6. Question number 4 is that we need to prove or disprove that I think any 6. So there we have 8. We have 8. So we need to answer 6. So whether they are isomorphic or not. So there are so many things. If one is cyclic, one is not cyclic, then they cannot be isomorphic. If they have not same number of elements, they cannot be isomorphic. Okay, so many things are there. So let us see how we can do. And then the 5th question is there, and then 6th question is there related to normal group and normal subgroups. Fine. So let us see the question number 1. So here is a question number 1. A has been given, is given as a non-empty set, and G be a group. Of course, G is also non-empty because it is a group. So initially, when we define that G is a group, we used to take that G should be non-empty. So let us not prove, but we can write solution. Okay. They are telling that a non-empty set and G is a group. Okay. F be the collection of all functions from A to G. So they are defining some function small f from A to G. Fine. And or let us write it like this. Let f from capital A to G be a function. So it means that f should be well defined. F is well defined and it satisfies all the necessary requirement for f to be a function. And then as per given, f is a collection of all functions from A to G. So capital F is a collection of all those functions such that f is a function from A to G. All right, fine. So now we know that what is capital F. Capital F essentially contains what? Contains functions from A to G. Fine. And then they are defining operation. Now this contains, this is a set. Now capital F has become a set and it contains functions from A to G. So there will be so many functions. There will be so many functions defined from A to G. Okay. So now they're defining some operation on this set F by means of this expression. Okay. So we can take a let F and G belongs to capital F. Fine. That is F and G, small f and G belongs to capital F. It means that they are functions from A to G. Okay. It is or defined what we have by definition of a star. Yeah, or we can write by definition. By definition of star, what we have F star G. Okay, when we are composing, we are taking composition of these two functions, and they are this is equals to F times Fx times Gx, and this is true for all x belongs to G. Okay, this is all x belongs to G. It means what? We are taking some function. We are taking two function from F. Yeah, just for the sake of one thing, complete. This is not G, but this is A. Okay, this is A. One thing you should note that when we used to take G as a group, G is a group, and then we used to define some operation on it. Fine. So we used to write A composition B. Okay. So this is in fact a function. This composition essentially is a function from G cross G to G. Okay, G cross G to G. Are you getting what I am trying to say? So in place of A and B, here we have taken F and G, and in place of G in usual definition, we have taken capital F. Up to now, clear to you? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So here we are dealing with functions. Functions are elements, and there is a operation defined over it and denoted by star. Fine. Then what we need to prove? We need to prove that F star is a
Group.
Okay. So now problem is clear, I think. So we need to we need to prove that a star is closed. This operation is closed. This is associative, and there is inverse and inverse of each element, and there is identity also. Okay. So let us one thing. Let us prove that star is well defined. We can say, or we can say that. Okay. F star G is well defined. When we say that F star G is well defined, it means what? It means what? Do you have any idea? It means that let us compare from this that this composition in the definition from G cross G to G, this is well defined means this is actually a function. So we need to show that F star G is actually a function in well defined means. All right. It means what? That let x1 and x2 belongs to A. Okay. So x1 is equals to x2. That is same element should have same image. Okay. Or if images are distinct, then pre-images should be distinct. In other words, so because f is a function here. Capital F contains function. So f is a function. So small f should be well defined. Okay. Small f should be well defined. So fx1 equals to fx2. Okay. And also here we can write that f belongs to capital F. Okay. Also x1 equals to x2. This would imply that gx1 equals to gx2, where g belongs to capital F. Then we can multiply them side by side, or we can consider like this: f star g of x1, f star g of x1. This is equals to f by definition fx1 g x1. Okay, but fx1 equals to fx2, so this is equals to fx2, and gx1 equals to gx2. So we can write gx2, and by definition we can write f star g of x2. F star g of x2. Okay, so this implies that f star g is well defined. The function, the operation we have taken is well defined. Also, f is non-empty as a and g both are non-empty. Fine. Now one more
sir.
thing here, we have proved that this function, actually this function, okay, this function is actually here is star. This is well defined. Here we are telling that this is well defined. Now we are also concerned with this star. That star is also well defined. Okay, so for star to be well defined, that operation is well defined. Star is well defined. In the last, we have proved that f star g is well defined. That particular function is well defined. Now we have another star is also function composition. This is also well defined. So we can take f1 equals to f2 and g1 equals to g2. F1, f2, g1 and g2, they all belongs to capital F. So because f1 equals to f2, it means f1x equals to f2x, g1x equals to g2x, and this is true for all x belongs to capital A. So we can f1x and g1x side by side, we can multiply f2x and g2x. So left hand side is nothing but f1 star g1 x equals to f2 star g2 of x, and this is true for all x. So this would imply that f1 star g1 equals to f2 star g2. Okay, fine. So both are well defined. Star is also well defined, and this also well defined. Now let us see how rest thing how we can prove. Okay, so first closure. Let f and g belongs to capital F. Then f star g. Then f star g belongs to capital F, as f star g is well defined. Just we have proved. It is well defined. One thing is that you may keep this also here to prove that f star g is well defined. If you want, you can keep it here. It is not necessary that you should keep there in the beginning. Fine. Of course, you can prove that A star is well defined, but for closure, you can keep here. For closure, what we are doing, we are taking two, like here, we are taking two elements. We are taking two elements from G, and then on composition, this also belongs to G, because this star is also this star is a function. So here star is nothing but a star is here f star G here function. Okay, f star G is made with the help is a function. It is generated from f and g, where f and g both are functions also. Fine. So this is closed. And then what else we need to prove? We need to prove this is associative. Associative. So let f, g, h belongs to capital F. Okay. Then f star g star h. Okay. Let us then you can write for x belongs to a, and for x belongs to a, this is equals to f star g and then x and times hx by definition. So we can write it fx gx and times hx. This is equals to because they are product, normal product, so we can write fx and then we can write gx and hx, and this is equals to f star g star x. All right, and then here x. Right. So this is in fact this is true for all x belongs to a. So this implies that f star g star h is equals to f star g star h. Okay, so this proves that star is associative. The operation is associative, and then identity. The operation is associative. So identity we can. Because G is a group, so let E belongs to G be the identity. Identity of capital G. Okay. Define. We can define capital E from because capital F is a function, is a collection of functions from A to G. So we can define a map from A to G by E. How we are defining that E of x equals to E, because E is a function. E is a function. So is a function. All right. And identity is this. So there is a function, we are considering this function such that which send each element of A to the identity. This is for all x belongs to G. One thing you should note that not all element of a capital F, or not every function is going to map every element of A to onto identity. But we are selecting only those that particular function which maps every element of A to the identity. Like this, here we have G group, here we have A, so there are so many elements, and here is identity. So they are all mapped to the identity. Okay, it's constant function, but many to one function. Okay, it's all right. So let us see E star F and then X. This is equals to F is some arbitrary function from capital F. So by definition, this is going to be EX times FX, and EX is nothing but by definition is identity. So E times FX. So E and because G is a group, so when we multiply E with FX, so we are going to get FX. Fine. So this implies that E, and this is true for all x belongs to A. So this implies that E and small f equals to F. And thus we note that capital E is identity. Okay, now let us see inverse. Inverse. So let us consider some arbitrary function small f from capital F and define. Let us define g from A to capital G by how we are defining. We are sending g of x to fx inverse. Fx inverse. Then because G is a group, so F inverse and Fx belongs to capital F, and therefore F belongs to capital F. It means that F is a function from G A to G. So Fx is going to be a member of capital G, and G is a group, so its inverse will exist. Fine. So F inverse will also belong to F. Just a minute. So F inverse X be a member of G and is well defined. Therefore, F inverse with G may belong. Correct means it is well defined. Fine. So we can write F star G of X. This is equals to Fx, and then Gx times Gx. So we have Fx, and Gx is nothing but Fx inverse, and Fx inverse is a inverse of Fx. So we are going to get identity. Fine. So it means that F inverse X is the inverse of that particular element. Fine. So if you are taking any general element, we are getting inverse. Okay. So this proves that and thus what we have established that its composition is a group. Fine. Or do you have any doubts here? Hello. Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
sir.
Okay, so let us see next question. Second part. Okay, second part. Let us see what it says. We need to find the inverse of this matrix. Okay, in GL2 Z5. Okay, so 2143 is the entry. A equals to 2143. Okay, and this belongs to general linear group of 2 by 2, and elements are from Z5. So they can change in maybe in this exam they can change this element from here. They are coming here. We have taken Z5. They may say that it is from Z7, Z6, Z4, something like this. They can tell. Okay, and even they can increase the size of this matrix. Something. Okay, so there may be so many questions, so many variant, but altogether. The process or the technique is going to be same. So they are interested in A inverse. So one thing is sure that A inverse in case of 2 by 2 matrix is going to be A and determinant of A and adjoint of A. All right. So let us see determinant of A. Determinant of A 2, because the elements are from Z5. So we are going to apply. Okay, matrix multiplication, which um, with the operation modulo 5. Okay, so this is because they are talking about multiplication in matrix when we are evaluating determinant. So we need to multiply 2 times 3. So 2 times 3, but modulo 5 we need to take, and then minus times 4 times times the modulo 5, 1. So this is going to be 2, 3, 6. 2 into 3 is 6. And when we divide by 5, we are going to get 1. Okay. And then we have minus, and 4 times 1, that is 4. So this is 1, and this is negative. We can write like plus and then minus 1. Okay. Because the elements are from Z5, so of course here addition is going to be under modulo 5. So minus 5 is what? In positive. Hello. We can write this is minus 4 now. So minus 4 is equivalent to what?
1.
Minus A is equivalent to A minus, no, not A minus, but N minus. This is N minus A in positive. Okay. So where N is nothing but here, Z5, N equals to 5 here. So minus 4 is equals to 5 minus 4. This is equals to 1.
4 is equal to 1.
All right. So it's complement. I told at that time that you just write it positively and then try to find out what we should add to make it identity. Okay. So plus 1 is will make it 0. That is 5. So, or you can use this one, this technique also. So 1 plus 1, we are going to get 2. Okay. So determinant of A is equals to 2. It is taking time because I'm explaining. For you, it won't take much time. So 1 upon A inverse, A inverse equals to 1 divided by determinant of A. And then adjoint of A, in case of 2 by 2 matrix, you know, you need to swap the element of main diagonal. So here 3 and here 2. And you need to change the sign of other diagonal, elements of other diagonal. All right. So this is equals to 1 upon this determinant of A. It means they are talking about inverse of 2. Fine. 1 by 2, it means 2 inverse. They are talking about 2 inverse. We have 3 minus 1, then minus 4 and 2. And in Z5, 2 inverse is what?
3.
3. Yes, 2 inverse is 3. So we have 3. And minus 1 in Z5, what we can write?
4.
5 minus 1, that is 4. And this is 1 and this is 2. And then we can multiply now in every element. This is a matrix, you should remember. Okay. So we can write 3 and then 5, 3 and then 4, 3 and then here 5. And then 3, 5, 1 and then 3, 5 here and 2. Okay. So 3 times 3, that is 9, and 9 when divided by 5 leaves remainder 4. And here 3 into 4 for 12, and when divided by 5 it leaves remainder 2. And here 3 times 1 3, and this is 3 times 2 6. This is going to be 1. So this is the inverse. All right. And now they are telling that you need to verify it. So for verification, what you need to do, you need to prove that A inverse is going to be identity. That's all. Fine. So A was 2 1 4 3, and A inverse is 4 2 3 1. And you multiply, you will come to know that this is going to give you 1 1 0 and 0. You can verify it. Okay. You can verify it. Is there any other part? I think there is one more part of this question. Describe a group of symmetries of a non-square rectangle and draw a scalar table. So I think you know this answer of this question. I've explained
Yes,
in class.
D2.
Yeah, D2, you know, D2. So you can try it out like this. You need to just draw a rectangle. You can write A, B, C, D. Okay. So there may be, you can if you rotate it by 180 degree, 90 degree, you won't be getting the same structure, same. Okay, horizontal kind of thing this, but uh, you have to rotate it by 180 degree, that you know. Okay, so R180. First thing, this is do nothing, R0, do nothing, R0, and when you are rotating it by 180 degree, you are going to get in 180 degree, in first 90 degree, it will come here somewhere. Okay, and B will come here, but in 180 degree, it will come here. A will come here. Okay, so A, and then B, then C, here C, and here D, like this. This is R180. R180, and then you have more things, horizontal and vertical. So horizontal and vertical, you can, let me take another color. In case of horizontal and in case so A and D will be swept. A and D and B and C. So here comes D, here comes A, here comes C, here comes B. Fine. Okay. So here you are going to get this is a vertical, so you are going to get R0, do nothing, and then R180, then horizontal, then vertical. Okay, so you can explain it little bit. R0, that is do nothing, and then R180, rotate. If you are rotating it in anti-clockwise, then rotate anti-clockwise by 180 degree. Okay, then similarly horizontal flip and then vertical flip. Of course you can give some name to this line, horizontal flip along this, about this, vertical flip about this. Okay, you can name some line. This is a vertical flip. Vertical flip, and then you can construct a Cayley table. You know how to construct Cayley table. Okay. You can construct Cayley table. So this is a way how you can explain. Other way also you can try it out. Like if you want, you can name it 1, you can name it 2, you can name it 3, you can name it 4. Okay, so do nothing is going to be your let me write here. The same thing you can write. Okay, do nothing. Do nothing means 1 goes to 1, 2 goes to 2, 3 goes to 3. So you can write it like as permutation. 2 goes to 2, 3 goes to 3, 4 goes to 4. So this is essentially identity. Okay, so once you are rotating with the 180 degree, so 1 will come here, and here 2, here 3, here 4. So you just see 1 goes to 3. Are you getting? Just see the places. 1 goes to 3, 4 goes to 2. So you can write 1 goes to 3, 2 goes to 4. That's all right. This much you have to write. Okay. Okay. You can see here 2 goes to 4, 3 goes to 1, or 1 goes to 3. Both are the same thing. And here in horizontal flip, you will be writing here 1, and then here 2, here 3, and here 4. Just like A is always associated with 1. B is always associated with where A, B, C, D are going, their number is same. Okay, so A, of course, A has come here down, but their label we have given is coming along with that particular A, B, C, D. Okay, so A is always given level 1, B is always given level 2, C is level 3, D is level 4. So how about this? How we can write? A goes to 2, 1 goes to 2, and 2 goes to 1. Fine. So 1 goes to 2, once we can write. And here 4 goes to 3, 4 goes to 3, or 3 goes to 4, both are the same thing. And here also, let us write 1, here 2, here 3, here 4. Okay. So how we can, this is our reference point. Okay. So 1, let us see top left corner. So 1 goes to 4 here. So 1 goes to 4. And the rest element 2, 3. Of course, 2 should be going to 3 and 3 goes to 2. Okay. And this is nothing but D2 only. Okay. This is nothing but D2. This is going to be your rotation. This is going to be horizontal flip. This is going to be vertical flip. Okay. These will be having order 2, both these two having order 2, this also having order 2. Okay, this is identity itself. Okay, so in the both way you can explain, either in permutation kind of way or this way, or both kind of a thing you can present together. That's all. Okay, so I think we don't have time now. So rest question we will be discussing in tomorrow's class.
Thank you for watching this video. To stay updated, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Cosmos Learning. Happy learning through Cosmos Learning. To watch more, click on any of these cards. Thank you once again.